Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Cory here, and I wanted to just sort of take this opportunity to talk out some of the things that are kind of coming up for me and our spiritual or metaphysical community. In particular, I wanted to talk about the terminology that we've been using and maybe even some of the misconceptions that are going around within our different communities here. And in particular, the terms holistic healing and light worker. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that today because, coming from the perspective of a dedicated Wiccan, somebody who practices witchcraft, and that is an integral part of my spiritual practice. I do believe in and pay worship to the god and goddess as I see them. And I do see them as individual, but also as components of a whole of what we could refer to as the divine or spirit, I guess you could say. My matron goddess is Persephone. If you have followed me on Instagram for any length of time, you'll have seen me post about her and talk about her and my connection with her, and the fact that she has essentially claimed me as a priestess of her path and somebody that works, through her, or she works rather through me in order to provide assistance in healing for the community. And, witchcraft as it is, which basically, if I were to boil it down to a singular thing, which it's very hard to do because there are so many facets to witchcraft in general, but really if I were to try and describe it for you or define it for you, for me, witchcraft is the practice of directing energies for a specific purpose with a specific intention to bring about change. Okay, so that in and of its core is very basic, but also very, very empowering. I mean, witchcraft is empowering. You are taking energies, either within you or around you, okay, and you're directing them for a very specific purpose. And developing the ability to do that is kind of at its core, along with, following the goddess and honoring nature and honoring the balance of nature, are very integral components to the practice of Wicca. And that's, very integral to me. Now, do you need to be Wiccan, obviously, to be a part of the spiritual community? Absolutely not. We love and welcome everyone, come on board, hop on this spiritual train with us. Being spiritual obviously has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people, and for me, being spiritual just means that you feel a connection with something bigger than yourself. You feel a connection to the world around you, to the universe at large, to anyone and everyone, and you acknowledge and honor that. Namaste. I see and honor and acknowledge the, enlightenment in you and the love in you. So that being said, I feel like, there's this big movement happening right now, which is very exciting, but, also at the same time, I feel kind of like it's a little bit scary because for me, being on this pathway for as long as I've been, I'm coming up on my 17th anniversary of dedicating to Wicca, but I've been on the spiritual path for more than 20 years now. Most of my life I have been searching and seeking, and consider myself a seeker of knowledge and a seeker of the metaphysical. And when we use terms like light worker and like holistic healing, it's very high vibey. And I even feel like the term high vibe is a little bit misunderstood, because with the shifts happening in our world today, I feel like a lot of people are really wakening, to the spiritual movement. We're waking up. We're like pulling ourselves out of the mundane, and we're seeking something bigger, and we're seeking something, to aspire to. We're looking for enlightenment. We're looking for knowledge. We're looking for wisdom, and we're seeking it in a community now. It's so much more open than things were back when I started my journey, where things were were really closed off. If you didn't talk in terms of a Christian church, at least in my community, then they had no patience for discussing anything, spiritual. Spirituality was your relationship with Jesus. At least how I experienced it being raised. I know a lot of folks have, different experiences and have different ways that they've come to spirituality. And that is absolutely beautiful, and it's perfect for them. And I don't think that my family and my community were really open at the time to understanding that my pathway was different. And that's really okay. At the end of the day, their pathway is their pathway and mine is mine. And, there's a saying in the community that all paths lead to the divine, and I still wholeheartedly believe that. But I do want to point out, because it is something that is ingrained in us, those of us that study witchcraft and are working, our pathways Wiccan. And this is also the case for a lot of other religions and spiritual pathways, is that you're taught at the beginning that there's a balance. You can't be happy every single moment of every single day. It's biologically impossible. And you wouldn't want to do that either, because then you become numb to happiness. You become numb and unempathetic to everything around you. You become apathetic. And when we talk about high vibration, for me at least, and what I kind of want to put out there and see if people resonate with, is that for me, high vibration has to do with that spiritual connection, right? That higher self, connecting with the divine, connecting with deity, connecting with the big universal picture. It's a higher vibration required in order to make that connection. And even when we talk about out-of-body experiences, right? If we go and we put ourselves on the astral plane to work with spirit guides, to work with deity, to work with all of these different energies, we need that higher vibration. But we're organic matter, right? We're spiritual beings. We're souls trapped. And I don't want to say trapped. Sorry. We've chosen to be and, live in human form, organic form. This is our path right now. We have chosen to be born as humans on this earth at this time and experience life physically, okay? Spiritual beings living out physical lives. So we trying to, or aspiring to constantly be high vibration, is going to disconnect you from your body. And I'm starting to see that with a lot of folks that I interact with, and maybe you guys have different opinions on it. I welcome anybody's, thoughts on what's happening right now. I really love seeing the, spiritual awakening that's happening, but at the same time, I want us to be grounded. I want us to understand that experiencing things physically, being able to touch things, being able to hug our family members, being able to speak and eat and experience wind on our face and the wet ground beneath our bare feet. Like, these are all grounding, low vibration sensations that I feel are just as important as the high vibration ones. And, some folks seem to think that, or they interpret high vibration as good, positive energy, and low vibration is bad, disparaging, anger, frustration, low vibration energies. If that's how you interpret it, that's how you interpret it. I experience high vibration as spiritual, high consciousness, low vibration is physical, grounding. That being said, to speak on the anger, the frustration, the disappointment, part of the human experience and what we're here to learn is dealing with those emotions. Packaging them up and setting them to the side to only just be high vibe and happy and free and joyous all the time isn't healthy. It's not. You're ignoring an emotion that is there for a reason. And unraveling that is what we refer to as shadow work. And shadow work is dismantling what we can't see, the subconscious triggering aspects of our personality, where we see something and our immediate reaction is to be judgmental, or is to be jealous, or is to be angry or frustrated and lash out. It's stopping, acknowledging that you have that feeling, and honoring that because you are a human being. It is okay to be angry, upset, frustrated, and worn down. It is okay. I want that to sink in. It is okay. This does not mean that you are not a spiritual person. This does not mean that you are not a good person. This just means that you are having a natural, normal human experience. Now, obviously, we do want to control outlandish emotions and impulses that cause us to hurt other people. We don't want to hurt others intentionally. That is never okay. I'm not condoning hitting somebody, but feeling those flashes of anger, those flashes of just frustration, even resentment, jealousy, judgment, these are all normal human reactions to certain things. Where we grow from those emotions is stopping and dismantling them, understanding what the triggers were for those emotions and why they were triggering. Because when we can dismantle those and understand, okay, this might be why I'm feeling this way. This could be why, it's coming from maybe this jealousy feeling is being triggered by very, hurtful mental thought pattern that you have around lack. Okay, maybe you've got some sort of story about your life and not having enough that has triggered jealousy in seeing, being exposed to this certain situation of somebody else getting something that maybe even you don't necessarily want, but they're getting something and it seemed easy. And because of your story around lack and not having enough and constantly having to fight for what you have, it triggered jealousy. Okay, but dismantling that and going back to the story and being able to unravel the story and being able to rewrite that story is going to help you so that when you encounter those situations later on, it's not triggering. So that is what we refer to what we're referring to when we talk about shadow work. And so being light workers, helping folks activate healing within them, be it emotional healing, be it, mental healing, whatever type of spiritual healing, whatever type of healing that they need, because that's really what healers do. We're not healing you. We're teaching you how to use the tools that we've worked with over the years and have, have a grasp of, okay, have a very firm fundamental grasp of, and being able to use those to help activate healing inside of yourself. Okay? So even being a light worker, there has to be that shadow component. There has to be that balance at all times between the two. You can't have light without the dark. They go hand in hand. There is that balance. And that's something that I want to make sure as we go through the spiritual awakening that we're not ignoring. Because when you constantly shoot for high vibe, then we have a body disconnect, and then we're burying emotions that we're not dealing with, which are only going to keep compounding each other. It's going to be like holding pressure down in a volcano until you just have an eruption. And that's not healthy for anybody, especially for you. So, you know, as we go through and experience these, you know, spiritual awakenings, and we talk about holistic healing, I want to make sure we're talking about the whole picture, you know, holistic, W-H-O-L-E, whole, which is both components, both the light and the dark. And so that's just something that has been dragging on my mind recently. And you're going to see a lot more of that balance here on my channel. You know, I'm talking about recently how to work with crystals, how to work with pendulums, how to work with essential oils in order to continue on your spiritual practice and activate that healing within you. But a lot of the deep work comes from shadow work. It comes from facing all of the darkness, accepting that darkness within you, and even in some cases, honoring that darkness. Yes, I'm going there. You know, I think we put too much emphasis on the light, especially in our community right now. And, you know, the names have changed over the years. Back when I started out, they were calling us New Agers, right? And now, you know, it's spiritual junkie or light worker or holistic healer. You know, there's half a dozen different names for it now. But I want, you know, I keep repeating the same thing, but really I want to bring more balance to my channel as well, and to just the community at large, in the fact that doing this deep work is essential. And, you know, a part of that too probably stems from my experience in the, you know, with mental illness and within the psychological community. So I was diagnosed with depression shortly after my father's passing, and I was put on medication. And it was a medication that they didn't know at the time, but interacted very poorly with adolescent, you know, brain chemistry. And it ended up making my symptoms worse, and I was hospitalized. Being exposed to other folks and depression and mental illness and working through those issues, dismantling those, and getting into cognitive therapy, you know, unraveling what's going on up here, dismantling that, allowed me to be able to move forward. But it took a lot of hard work. It took me diving into the areas of myself, the thought patterns that I was having that I didn't want to acknowledge. And, you know, that's all from a mental standpoint. From a spiritual standpoint, the same principles apply. You know, we want to think that we are the best versions of ourselves. You know, we like to see the best versions of ourselves, the side of ourselves that are generous, that are loving, that are compassionate, that are empathetic to anyone and everyone. But sometimes we need to acknowledge and honor certain things about ourselves. I have a short temper at times, where I will just lose my patience, get frustrated, and get short with people and go, you know what? I've had to repeat this 6 times. I'm not going to repeat it again. Figure it the fuck out. And you know, I'm laughing at that now, but this is something that I've been dismantling for a very long time. It's shadow work that even now I still need to continue. I still need to look at. You know, I've got a lot more triggers than, you know, the average person probably with regards to getting frustrated. And I could blame it on other people, but it doesn't start with other people. You know, the situations are the triggers, but I have built my reaction around those triggers, so I need to take personal responsibility for dismantling those. It's all on me. And that's part of the spiritual path that in awakening that I think that we're on. Personal responsibility and taking personal responsibility for how we are reacting to things, how we choose to react to things. Because there's a whole lot about what's going on in the world, especially in the United States, if you happen to be living here with us. The political climate, everything that is happening right now. I happen to live in San Diego County. My entire state is on fire as we speak. This is probably the worst fire season we have ever had. And there's a lot to be upset about. There's a lot that can be triggering. It's the perfect time to do that shadow work. For me to understand what is it about what's happening that is triggering all of these crazy emotions inside of me. I can't always blame it on Mercury in retrograde. I can't blame it on outside forces. It starts here. And maintaining that balance, finding that balance is a lifelong journey, but it's something that I hope you'll join me on, because finding and understanding that dark, that shadow side within us, and giving that as much time and attention as the light is really going to be what will bring us all together and really just kind of evolve as a society to that next level. At least that's my opinion. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts about it, what's going on in our community, how you feel about the terms light worker and holistic healing in general, and even shadow work, and how you feel about it. And you can completely disagree with everything that I've said in this video. That is absolutely okay. I would still love to hear from you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, blessed be.